Dating apps are actually really fun and awesome and a great invention. When was the last time we have seen a positive video regarding dating apps? I don't recall ever seeing one. Obviously there's a million cons. People are disposable, you think the grass is always greener on the other side, you get shitty dates. But let's think about the pros. If we didn't have them, how would we be possibly meeting anyone?
Idiots! It's simple!
Well, anybody who follows me knows quite well that I believe that dating apps are the equivalent of virtual cigarettes, and this woman kind of helps to illustrate that point. She's saying that dating apps are fun, awesome, and a great invention, and if we take a look at ads for smokes back in the day, then they would say damn near the exact same thing. But as we all know, the only thing that the dating apps are good for is a guarantee that prolonged use will lead to cancer of the soul. I mean, woman, you're already addicted to the apps, and that's because you can't help yourself. It's just easier for you to sit on your couch with either Gilmore Girls or Sex and the City playing in the background as you mindlessly swipe left and right because you've completely forgotten how to interact with real people outside in the real world. Why bother approaching people when you could just be given a photo from a guy who may or may not be a scamming AI chatbot? Now granted, there could be some benefits to these dating apps if you squint hard enough, but the damage they've caused far outweigh the rewards. And there isn't much that you can say that's going to change that and justify your inability to have a conversation that doesn't involve typing LOL.
Do we go out? Are we going out all the time? Where are we meeting people out organically in the wild, like they used to do in the old days? We're simply not. So let's maybe, if we all switch our mindsets on the apps and like start to love them, maybe like be grateful for the invention of them, maybe something will change. A stone will turn and the plot will reverse itself and everything will start to work out. Maybe. I think it's worth a shot.
That is without a doubt the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Woman, the plot to dating apps is a lot like your mind, and both of which were lost over a decade ago. There is absolutely nothing that anyone can do to change the direction of these dating apps. The damage has been done and there's no going back. First off, dating apps warped the minds of average women, divorced broads, and single mothers into thinking that their value was significantly higher than it currently is. They grew dependent on the best-looking men to pay attention to them, and anybody who didn't fit into that particular criteria was either assumed to be guilty of a violent crime or a knowing accomplice to a crime from a different violent guy. And I'm still trying to figure out how the hell that one works. It destroyed human pair bonding thanks to using the apps for a quick hookup, and it also had the added benefit of alienating an entire generation's worth of average dudes into thinking that they were just homogeneously unappealing to all of womankind, and there's no going back from that, no matter how much attention you wish you were getting from the men who use these apps.
I'm grateful for Hinge for allowing me to meet people I wouldn't have met otherwise. Some cool people on there. Not everyone's horrible, and I think it's a great way to connect scale. Like, we don't have that ability without them to be meeting so many people at such a large scale. I could just drag the thing how many miles I want. Like, there's a lot of people out there, and not all of them are horrible. So yeah, dating hot take. Don't hate me.
Well, something about that is just downright unsettling.
You know, I think it's kind of pathetic that I have to be the one to explain this to you, but people did just fine without dating apps, lady. In fact, they did a lot better. You see, dating apps have spoiled you lazy. You can't even be bothered to go outside and meet people unless you do it through your phone first. And that's just kind of absurd. Let's just think about this for a second. You have met countless people through these apps, and most of them weren't evil. Oh, and thank you for that, by the way. We absolutely love it when you say that. You know, when you say crap like that, it really does make a man feel like he's on top of the freaking world. But you could have had more success if you just went outside yourself and lived your regular life. You'd actually be able to talk to men and cut out all the crappy middlemen of your phone and the zero advantages it gives you. But I get it. I mean, seriously, I do. You're getting older while more and more men are getting off the apps since they're effectively worthless. And you want more men to go online to talk to you because the mere thought of you going outside and talking to people fills you with so much fear that it almost fills your overpriced sweatpants with hot chocolate pudding.
Ew. What a mess. Ew. Ew. Ew.
who intentionally marry men strictly to get pregnant and or divorce them for child.
What has that got to do with it?
Well, considering that you're cherry picking the story,
This woman has a restraining order?
you're just an unpleasant, disrespectful little hussy who hears what she wants to hear. You claim that you wanted to hang out just for him to spill the tea, which is an incredibly dumbass thing to say. Want to take a moment to give a shout out to the fine members of the Bounty Board over on Patreon for their continued support as my work as I churn out content for all of you fine gentlemen and gents out there every day, so thank you for your support. All hail! And if you're interested in supporting my channel, check out the Bounty Board over on Patreon, where for $5 a month, you can get access to exclusive content you're not going to find on YouTube. And of course, you can always support the channel by liking this video, leaving comments, sharing, and if you're enjoying my particular brand of comedy, then I hope I've earned your subscription today.
Things that will prematurely age you. Talking to men, dating men, going out with men, having a drink with men, working out with men, looking at your phone to see if a man called you, waiting for a man to make the first move, waiting for a man not to make the first move, waiting for a man to shut the fuck up.
You need to face the fact. You're a racist. A racist. You, not me. I'm not the racist.
Oh, woman, if we're playing that game, there are plenty of other things that will prematurely age you. Drinking enough boxed wine that will put down a small camel will prematurely age you. Rubbing endless amounts of chemicals into your skin in the form of makeup will definitely age you. Constantly scrolling through social media and comparing your failure of a life to other people who started families will also prematurely age you. And I honestly think that your passive-aggressive attitude and bitter resentment towards men in general will definitely add a few years to that face of yours. And feminism will definitely age you horribly. Not to mention all the DoorDash you consume on a nightly basis because you don't know how to cook. Stressing out about being over the age of 30 with no husband or children will do that to you as well. Not to mention the blue light from your TV as you binge watch yet another true crime drama is probably prematurely blinding you. And the obsession over your subscriber count and comments aren't putting any youth points in your favor either. And you know what all of these things have in common? They have nothing to do with men and everything to do with your crap life decisions.
Old.
Old?
Old. You guys, this is not a drill, okay? I am going on a third date, and even worse, he's cooking dinner. Now, to some, this might sound like, wow, that's amazing. But for me personally, I have deep-seated trauma from cooking a meal with a man who's not my boyfriend. Because every other time this has happened to me, when I'm like, oh, we've been getting along well, let's cook together, I'll cook for you, whatever. That is the last time I see that man.
You! I will think of you as I throw up into the toilet.
Woman, just because a dude didn't like your cooking or didn't much care for your company at his dinner table is not a source of deep-rooted trauma. It's kind of disgusting how you think you can lay claim to that when there are people who have suffered legitimate psychological harm in their lives and they're forced to share that very same category with you because you chose poorly when it came to dinner arrangements. It's actually kind of frustrating because by saying you have trauma, you're implying that you are entitled to the sympathy of others while also diminishing the actual meaning of that word. You go out on a bad date? Well, that's just trauma. Stub your toe on your walk of shame from Chad's house? Trauma. I mean, you could get ghosted on a dating app, and that's practically an excuse for PTSD right there, am I right? What you're not talking about is trauma. It's a superstition, and no, they are not the same freaking thing. And this is a phrase I don't use lightly, but you should be ashamed of yourself for saying that, woman.
So, I don't really know how tonight's gonna go. It was his idea this time, not mine. And like, we've talked a lot about how he likes to cook. So like, it makes sense. But part of me is still like, ooh. This might be our third and last date. Again, there's nothing wrong with him. This is nothing about this man. He's actually so nice and only green flags so far. But it's just the concept of cooking with a man who's not your boyfriend. Strong rule that I live by. But we're making exceptions, I guess.
I am Jack's complete lack of surprise.
Well, you got over that deeply seated trauma awfully quick, now didn't you, woman? And all it took for you to realize is that you're getting older and this is the best you could ever possibly hope for with a guy. Either that or this guy is insanely good looking and has a lot of money. We all know that modern women make average men pay for the past sins of her mistakes. So if this guy was just average, then there's no chance in HE double hockey sticks that he would be able to cook for her. It's just plain as day. Now, if this is a reoccurring pattern, then we can probably say that since she's the most common denominator of all of these situations, then she was the problem with these men. And if that's a safe justification, then we can also surmise that she is trying to avoid this by thinking that it's the fact that it's a cooking date is the reason why the other dudes have cut ties with her. But sister, if all of these things have you and cooking in common, then maybe you should do something that you refuse to do and just reflect on your terrible decisions and maybe learn how to use spices properly.
I don't really know what to wear when we're like standing in the kitchen cooking and then like eating in his house. So I have like a tank top on, a little sweater in case I get cold, jeans, and you guys, I had to wear these shoes. I would never wear these on a date. But the thing is, like, what if it's like a house where like they take off their shoes when they're inside? And I don't have a pedicure right now. So like that man cannot see my bare ass toenails. It's only date number 3. You can't see my bare ass toenails until maybe 6 months in of us in a serious relationship.
Nobody cares, Sean. Nobody cares.
Woman, you are not making a strong case for yourself here. You are more concerned about paying for a stupid pedicure than you are about spending time with this guy. Now, I can't vouch for every self-respecting man, but I think I can say that unless that man is Quentin Tarantino, then I think the odds of them paying that close of attention to your feet is probably not going to make their list of priorities. Modern women will always think that a man liking them hinges on minutia like that, even though 8 times out of 10, that's not really the case. You're more concerned about how you're dressing for this date, even though it sounds fairly casual. You're going to be cooking, so wear something you don't mind getting a little messy. But that's fairly obvious, or at least it would be if you actually spent any time in the kitchen. Most self-respecting men care about whether or not you're a nice person, or if you can actually cook something without setting it on fire. It also doesn't help if you have mad banter skills during a Nerf war, but if you're more focused on when that man can see what your feet look like, then your priorities are all out of whack, and I can see why men don't want anything to do with you after the 3rd date.
So, lots going on here tonight, but I'm on my way to pick up a bottle of wine because ladies never show up empty-handed, and I'm on my way over. So, well, tonight's really, I guess, make or break. He doesn't know that, but it is. So, we'll keep you posted, I guess.
Nope. That would be a waste of time.
Well, it sounds to me like you're just setting this guy up for failure there, sweet cheeks. Let's think about this for a second. Here we have a guy who legitimately seems to like you and wants to enjoy a cooking date with you, but he is clearly unaware of your superstition when it comes to cooking dates, and you're clearly not going to tell him this either. Instead, you're putting all of the pressure on him to be more perfect than perfect, and the second he falters in any category, be it saying the wrong thing, maybe not using enough garlic, or not having enough decorative soap in his crapper, then you're going to use it against him as you try to find a reason to keep your streak of failed 3rd dates alive. Because at the end of the day, your TikTok following will always be more important to you than any man who wants to date you. Now, the content you create, which is a term that I use extremely loosely, will always take priority over having a successful date. You'd rather whine, pout, and cry than have anything healthy in your life because the exposure you get from complete strangers will always feel better than the attention you could get from a really good guy. So there's no need for you to give us an update, sweetheart. We already know that you failed and failed miserably. And that's gonna do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. And as always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button. Ring the notification bell, leave a couple of comments, and make sure to share this video so we can give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for checking out the new video, gentlemen and gents, and until next time, peace out, homies.